Good evening. Today I'm going to talk to you about the heart of Islam, Kaaba. Here in Mecca, as you all know, around it is Masjidul Haram, a place, a mosque where everything bad is prohibited, haram. And in between the Masjidul Haram and Kaaba is Maqam Ibrahim. That means a place where you can see the footprints of Prophet Abraham. And I have doubts about these footprints. Nevertheless, we all agree that Prophet Abraham stood here. It is called Maqam Ibrahim. And then in between Maqam Ibrahim is situated in between Masjid al-Haram and Kaaba, but it is closer to the praying area of Masjid al-Haram. So when Muslims go round it, it is called tawaf, going round it, the ritual of going round the Kaaba. They go round it. But when Muslims go round the Kaaba, so when we go round the Kaaba, then this Maqam Ibrahim is behind us. But what does the Quran say about all this? This is the magic. This is the era Muslims are in for hundreds of years, almost for about 1400 years, almost. I will ask you to make some notes, as I have done myself, and I will ask you to pause this video frequently so that you can cross-check whatever I'm talking about with Quranic verses. In the entire Quran, the word Kaaba appears twice. Some will tell you the Kaaba appears 7 times, but that's not true. The very word Kaaba, that means cube, that means this Kaaba, appears only twice. They are in Surah number 5, verse 95 and in verse 97. And in those 2 places, it is not mentioned that Kaaba should be made the Qibla or praying direction for Muslims. And it also doesn't say that you should go around it. And it also doesn't mention that this Kaaba is situated in Mecca. The word Mecca appears only once in the entire Quran. That is in Surah 48, verse 24. And that verse doesn't say a few things. It doesn't say that Muslims are persecuted there. It doesn't say Kaaba is there. It doesn't say your Qibla is situated there. And it also doesn't say Masjid al-Haram is situated there. Let's be clear about it. But Muslim scholars of today will go head over heel. All my brothers, they all go head over heel to claim that Masjid al-Haram and Kaaba are the same or situated in the same area. I don't agree with that for several reasons. In the Holy Quran, Allah talks about directions of prayer many times. For example, in Surah 2 verse 177, Surah 2 verse 115, then Surah 55 verse 17, Surah 2 verse 142, Allah says that all the directions are Allah's directions. So wherever you turn, it's Allah's directions. And in Surah 55 verse 17 it says, Rabbul Mashriqain, Rabbul Maghribain, Fabiya Allah Rabbikum Atukasiman. That is, all the directions are Allah, east, west, all belong to Allah. And which blessings are going to deny? And also in the Quran we have verse like Allah is closer to your jugular vein, closer than your jugular vein. And also in Surah 51 verse 21, Allah instructs you to look within. But still we have Qibla in Quran, or praying direction, that was given to the Muslims who were with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And after following the Qibla towards the Masjid al-Aqsa, the prayer direction was changed to Masjid al-Haram. Now, it says in Surah 2, verse 144, that the Qibla for Muslims is the Masjid al-Haram. It doesn't mention Kaaba at all. And also, from this we can rest assured that Kaaba and Masjid al-Haram can't be the same thing, because otherwise Allah would have mentioned clearly the Kaaba. The Kaaba was full of idols, deities of various tribes. So it is unthinkable that Prophet would ask Muslims, and Allah will ask Muslims, that they would be bowing their head and they'll be praying towards a Kaaba full of deities. No Muslim would ever do that. So it is unthinkable that Muslims would ever even venture to have pilgrimage in Kaaba when it is full of deities. So we know that before Muslims even conquered Makkah, they ventured to do pilgrimage, and the Hudaybiyah peace treaty was signed, Meccan leaders promising that they can do it next year. So why did they even attempt to do the pilgrimage to a place from where they had to run for their lives? Nevertheless, I'll talk about it in my future episodes, but today's episode is primarily going to concentrate on the tawaf issue, going around the Kaaba. Whether that is even justifiable, the way they are doing, according to Quran, what does the Quran say? So if the tawaf I can establish, it says that Kaaba is the Masjid al-Haram, then Muslims obviously should be going round it, doing around it in Kaaba, around the Kaaba, which I cannot find any proof of. But if it refers to the house or Bait or Masjid al-Haram or Bait al-Haram, whatever, then we have to go round Masjid al-Haram. Right? If the Masjid al-Haram here, we should be doing the tawaf here. We should be doing the tawaf here. Okay? Let's say we will be going around it. But for argument's sake, let's accept that Kaaba is the place that we have to go round. Let's, for argument's sake, accept that for a minute. What does the Quran say about tawaf? If you read Surah 2 verse 125, Surah 22 verse 26, Surah 22 verse 29, from these three verses you can clearly see that Allah is instructing you, and you also have to read Surah 3 verse 96 and 97. Allah is dictating that Muslims should be going round Allah's masjid or prayer house, going round the prayer house, which is standing or should stand at the standing place of Ibrahim. Standing place of Ibrahim. It is called Maqam Ibrahim, as I told you at the beginning. So if you have a house which is not placed or built on top of the standing place of Abraham, and you're keeping the standing place behind you and going around a house which is not standing on Prophet Abraham's standing place, then your tawaf or the ritual of going around is null and void. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure it out, but you can, by all means, keep on rewinding this video to make a sense of what I'm talking about. Let's move on. Let's go back in history. In 683, in the Battle of Hara, the Umayyads under Yazid's caliphate attacked Ansars or helpers of Prophet Muhammad, because Prophet Muhammad obviously died in 632, and then also attacked the greatest of Sahabas in the Battle of Hara. They had a face-off, and they chased them to Medina, the very Medina which was being defended by Ansars and Sahabas or companions of the Prophet until his death. And they slaughtered thousands of the greatest Sahabas and companions of Prophet Muhammad in Medina, stopped all prayers in the Mosque of Prophet, and also raped thousands of women. Thousands of war children were born in 683. And the commander then was a man called, ironically, the man's name was Muslim, but he was known by the name Musrif, because the Muslims do not want to see him as a Muslim man. So he was called a Muslim. But nevertheless, rapes were committed, inhuman atrocities were carried out. Then he moved to attack Mecca, because Mecca was the power hub for another caliph of the time, who didn't want to give in to Yazid, the son of Muawiyah, and his name was Abdullah ibn al-Zubayr. He was the grandson of the first caliph of Islam, Abu Bakr. So Musrif was on his way to Mecca, but he died on his way because he was already a very old and frail man from various diseases, and he died. But still, he went to attack, his army went to attack Mecca. Mecca was bombarded for days in 683, 31st October. And from that bombardment, Kaaba was really, Kaaba was damaged. It was on fire. For whoever was to be was to be blamed. Nevertheless, it was on fire. It was seriously damaged. But the Yazid's army had to withdraw because they had a news that in the meantime Yazid had died suddenly. So the army withdrew. Abdullah ibn al-Zubayr was safe for the time being, and he rebuilt the Kaaba. But when he rebuilt the Kaaba, he rebuilt it in such a way that it stood on top of the place where Abraham was standing. That means this Maqam Ibrahim was covered by that Kaaba that he had built. And then Muslims were going around it. So that means that was the correct tawaf according to Surah 22 verse 26, Surah 22 verse 29. Because if you don't go round a house which is standing on top of the place where Prophet Abraham allegedly was standing, then your tawaf is null and void, and it is not according to Quran. But the Umayyads came back. Remember that Quraysh tribes were divided into three. Umayyads were the richest and they were living on top around here, Sham area. which included obviously Syria, today's Syria, Jordan, then Lebanon and Palestine or Israel, whatever you want to call it. And the Hashims were there, and Makhzums. These are the main three tribes. But the Umayyads came back in 692 and they started attacking Mecca again, and Zubair and his army was inside the vicinities of Masjid al-Haram and Kaaba. But they were bombarded non-stop, and Zubair this time got killed. His dead body was hung on a cross. Atrocities were committed, blah, blah, blah. And then, at that time, the commander was a man called Hajjaj. He is known in history one of the most brutal army commanders Umayyads ever had, or even Muslims ever had, who also was a junior army officer during the Battle of Hara in 683. But by this time in 692 he became a commander. And after Jubair was killed, he told the Caliph at that time, Abdul Malik, that Jubair had moved the Kaaba from the original place. But he didn't tell Abdul Malik that Jubair was in fact following a hadith, according to which hadith Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in fact had a desire of putting the Kaaba in its rightful place. That is a place where Prophet Abraham was standing. So the order was to destroy Zubair's Kaaba and rebuild it in the place that it was before Zubair had built. So what happened? It went back to a position which is not in accordance with the Quran. So since then until today, the Kaaba is not standing in the right place. Muslims are going round the Kaaba, keeping the Maqam Ibrahim, or the standing place of Prophet Abraham, behind them when they are going round. So this tawaf cannot be right. But I think the Saudi regime has understood that they're doing it the wrong way. So what they have done now, in the name of making expansions to Masjid al-Haram and another area, they have built like a flyover thing, going round the Kaaba, and they have built like a good few floors to go round the Kaaba, which also in fact makes the pilgrimage to go round Masjid al-Haram as well. So they didn't break the Kaaba, because if they did do it, then Muslims would be wondering why they are breaking the Kaaba now and moving it to cover Maqam Ibrahim. And they would find out that all their forefathers were doing the wrong tawaf or wrong going round. They were all wrong. So that to keep the attention away and also to make Muslims do it in the right way, they have built these huge constructions on top of Masjid al-Haram in that area. For Muslims now can go for a bigger circle that will cover both Kaaba and Maqam Ibrahim. You tell the Muslims we are doing it because we can't really accommodate so many people to do the tawaf. Okay, understandable. But the main purpose is also doing it in the right way, which is make sure you go round Maqam Ibrahim. You don't keep your tawaf behind you. So if you are my viewer, if you are a Muslim brother or sister, next time when you go for pilgrimage, make sure you do the tawaf here. You make sure that Maqam Ibrahim is in front of you, you're going round. You are not doing pilgrimage when you're doing the tawaf, when it is behind you. Now now the question comes, what about the black stone? The black stone, it is not in Quran. Rather, I consider it to be shirk, or associating some other deity to Allah, which is an unforgivable sin. And some will say Prophet Muhammad had placed it there because Umar said, Umar, the second caliph, said, I would have thrown you away, O black stone, unless my Prophet had put it there. But the question is, when did the Prophet put it there? Even if he had done that, he had put it there when he was not a prophet. So anything that he had done before he was a prophet, that is not something we have to follow. And moreover, it goes against the spirit of Quran, oneness of Allah, Tawheed. So the black stone is something which needs to be got rid of. And many Muslims in the past tried to do it. Many Muslim rulers, even the Fatimid Caliphate, tried to do it, but their people whoever attempted it were killed by the people in power around Mecca area. So, and also there are other things. We'll talk about that in a future episode. For example, the Jamjam water, it is not in Quran as well. So anything, now you can say that we are not Muslims, don't worship black stone, but it's still, how come it is shirk? I'll talk about that in my future videos. But today's episode was primarily to concentrate on the Maqam Ibrahim, the right tawaf, and going round it. Thus far, we all did tawaf inside this Kaaba area and keeping Masjid al-Haram behind us, because the Kaaba is not still standing in the right place. And I think Saudi government should do something about it, because it's violating the tawaf ritual as per Quran. If you are doing it inside this area, not around it, not a bigger circle that they have built it now, but if you are inside near the Kaaba and you are keeping Maqam Ibrahim behind you, then your tawaf is not right. And for almost 1400 years, Muslims who don't know this history, and because even the Saudis never took the initiative to correct it until now, Muslims are doing the tawaf in the wrong way. And still, many can say, what is going to happen to us? We have done the Hajj and everything. I will say, Allah will probably bestow mercy on you, because innamal amalu binniyat, your intention was to do the tawaf. And I think either the Saudis should build a bigger Kaaba to stand on the right place on Maqam Ibrahim, or they should move the Kaaba to make sure that it is standing in the right place. Thus far, it is not. I hope I'm clear. And if you find any word Kaaba, you will find there are many lies committed, even in translations. Make sure that you go word for word translation and see whether Bakka has been replaced with Mecca, or whether Masjid al-Haram has been replaced by Kaaba in translations. But as I told you, Kaaba appears only twice, Makkah appears only once in the entire Quran. Thank you for listening. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.